Yeah. Well, our project today, of course, we're going to be installing a ceiling fan way up there. And here's my 8-foot ladder here next to the edge of the bed. I had to straddle it a little bit in order to reach it. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to have to face the ladder straight across or cattywampus, you know, over in here. But if I went too far, I might not have been able to reach it. And so I feel pretty comfortable up there. And I'm going to be installing this ceiling fan today. Look how big this ceiling fan is. It's in a master bedroom, 72-inch ceiling fan, and it happens to have 9 ceiling fan blades on there, and I have to install an extension rod way up there and all that. So if that's something you want to watch, stick around. Well, I guess one of the first things I'll do is I'll pull everything out of the box and read all about it and all that kind of stuff and get myself kind of familiar with it before I do too much. Okay. Once you unpack everything, you might think, hey, I can't do this. I'm not an electrician. Where on earth are all these wires going to go? Look at this. There's 5 wires coming out of the motor assembly. Usually there's maybe 3 wires coming out of the motor. This one in particular has 5 wires coming out of here. Here's a little remote sensor that gets installed way up high in the ceiling. Look at all these wires. How on earth am I going to figure this out? Well, step by step you can do it. You don't need an electrician as long as you don't have hot wires up there. You can do it. We're just going to turn those wires off. You can go back to the electrical panel, turn your breaker off to this particular lighting circuit, or you can turn your light switches off. And I'll get to that in a minute. And here's a wiring diagram and everything. Save this manual because there'll be troubleshooting in here in case your ceiling fan ever stops working. Let's say there'll probably be an area, see here, troubleshooting, how to install your remote control, and then there'll be a phone number for parts, how to order, see, how to order repair parts. And there'll be a phone number there and all that kind of stuff. Save this, don't throw this away, okay? And see, it came with a little plastic container, and I'll put this in there, and if I have any extra mounting screws for the ceiling fan blades and stuff, I'll put in there and all that kind of stuff. And this has a handheld remote control. That's kind of slick. Oh, this battery is different. It's a little flat battery. And I'll have to see what to deal with that. I thought it was going to be a handheld remote. You know what? I think it is a handheld remote. I think this inside bit pulls out. I'll look at that later. And then this other thing is a mounting deal that you mount on the wall, is what I'm thinking. And when I opened up the box, the first thing that hit me was this. And you've got to read everything. Important. It's imperative that you read the instructions found in the owner's manual for programming your DC fan. Your fan will not operate properly if this step is omitted. And what they mean by that is this comes factory set a particular way, and it shows you how to reset it and everything, but you can't use it in the factory set position. They tell you it doesn't work. So that's why they say it's important you read the owner's manual and the directions and everything, or else your ceiling fan is not going to work. And then you might get it all installed and think, what do I have to do? It's not even working. I knew I couldn't do it. I probably wired it up wrong or something. And no, it's because the remote, the handheld remote, is not hooked up properly. And on the back, this is a remote that fits up in the ceiling. See, this is all that holds the whole thing up there, is this one mounting bracket. 2 screws, and that's it. And then it fits up in there. I'll show you how to do it, don't worry, okay? And then after you install that up in the ceiling, this thing slips in there right through there, and it fits up in there, and it's a really tight configuration, and then it fits up in your trim housing and all that, and that fits up there in the ceiling. Well, see, this thing here has little buttons on it too. See the back side here? It's factory set. You take a little screwdriver or the tip of a screw, let's say, and then you can make your own. I think there's 32 different codes you can make it. You could just turn one of these and the associated one in here, and it will work. Okay, you don't have to do too much fancy rigmarole and all that. Okay, so you just stick around and we'll get this thing. And when I purchased this, it tells you on your ceiling height what type of extension rod to get, because it's 72 inches in diameter, and because we're at a ceiling that is cathedral ceiling, it comes up at an angle. Of course, I got to put a down rod way up there. It only came with a 6-inch down rod, and then in the store there's another place where you can get different extensions, and you can get these extensions. I think 12 inches, 18 inches, 24 inches, 36 inches, and 48 inches long. Can you believe that? And all different types of colors. So make sure before you pick out your extension, don't just guess on the color, because they have another one that's fairly close to this color. And I actually had to take the plastic off of here a little bit, and then I had to have them open the container. And I said, yeah, open it up, because I want to see what color this is. And see, this is me at the store. I actually opened this like that so I could see the actual color, so I could line it up with the color of that, because like I say, they've got different colors. You want to make sure it's kind of an important deal to get that. Look at that. Did you see that? This has a little cotter pin on it, and I believe I just dropped it down on the carpet, and my carpet, I'm gonna have to fish for it now, because we've got kind of a shag type carpet, and I'll find it. It's down in there somewhere. Okay, and anyways, it's very important to get the right color down rod, the extension rod. Okay, all right, I'll be back to you in a minute to talk about the wiring up at the ceiling and all that. I've got to find this cotter pin first, or I won't be installing anything today. Oh man, I was freaking out there for a second. I looked all around there. I could not find it, and I actually had to shine my light on the carpet, and it's right down in here. I just saw it, and I wanted you to see it. There it is, right there. And it's funny because I was standing over here, and that's where I thought I dropped it. Here's the little cotter pin. See that? Now, had I have lost it, I thought maybe when I took this apart at the store, out of the plastic bag, it came off. But well, I was lucky enough to find it. See it? Once I put it on there, it fits on there like that. That's all. See? I could have put a little wire in there, or I could have taken one of my other ceiling fans apart. It would still have worked, because this gets set slightly a different way. That this actually gets screwed in to the top of the motor housing, whereas lots of ceiling fans don't do that. It's relied specifically on just this, but this gets screwed in, and then 2 set screws get on there, and this. So it still would have worked, and then I would have had to have gotten this at the store later. But man, I'm glad I didn't give up for looking for that. Okay, so now now I've got to do some determination on some electrical, on the light switches and stuff. Where's my mounting bracket? I've got to look at my mounting bracket. This is the only thing that gets mounted up there. Lots of them are installed differently, and so two screws is going to hold all of the weight. And see where that hole is. If you have a cathedral ceiling, you want to face that facing up or sideways. And I'm looking at the box up there. The box is going down. The slope of the ceiling is going straight down, and that's where the screws are. So I'm going to have to place it like that. I wish the screws were that way, because then I would have placed the screws up this way, or something like that, and then it would hang a little bit better. But it'll still fit in there and hang. But if it was facing the other way, obviously you would not want to install it this way and try to fit it up in there, because you've got to fit that knuckle on a definite little groove. See that little notch right there, that little nib? See? And I'll show you that. Okay. But I first want to figure out which wires go where up there. And I'm looking up there, and see there's some wire nuts from the last ceiling fan that I pulled down. And you see there's a red wire, a black wire, and there's a white wire up there and a green wire. See, there's the white one. I'm trying to hold this and zoom it at the same time. And see, the black and white wire and the ground wire are the only ones I'm going to install. And see, I've got 3 switches here on the wall. 2 of these switches go up to that ceiling fan location. 15 years ago, they used to install 2 ceiling fan switches, one for the power. So when you turn it on, then you would have to get up there and pull a chain. High, medium, low, off. High, medium, low, off. Well, phooey on that. Who wants to do that every single time? We could have reinstalled the existing ceiling fan, but I didn't want to do that. Because it didn't have a light kit. It was not remote control, handheld remote control. It had the chains sticking down, and there was no light kit on it. Even if there was a light kit, I wouldn't want to do it, because on the old ceiling fans there's a pull chain for the light and a pull chain for the high, medium, low, off. And so the other switch, one switch would be for power, for high, medium, low, off, that you would control with the pull chain up there. And then the next one would be just for a light kit, and that's what that red wire is for up there. Usually you don't have to, you don't install, you don't have to hook up a red wire to a new ceiling fan nowadays. New ceiling fans nowadays, you get the black wire, the white wire, and the ground wire, and that's generally about it. And what I'm talking about, and I'll come back to this later. But see all these wires on this? This is the remote control that fits up in the ceiling, that your handheld remote will activate this. It looks like a lot of gobbledygook. And there's remember there was 5 wires coming out of the top of the fan housing down there. Well, none of those get hooked up to the main power. The only ones that get hooked up to the main power is the ground wires, and this one just happens to have 2 ground wires for some reason. Most of these only have 1 ground wire sticking out, but there's 2 green ground wires, and they're noted by the G on there. Okay, so those 2 are going to be hooked up to the ground, and then these 2, black and the white. And see that? It says ACN. Can you see that? It doesn't seem like it's wanting to come in all the way. That says ACNL, meaning the load. And then you look on this one here, and this says ACNN, which is neutral wire. The load wire, which is the black hot wire, and the neutral wire. Okay? All of these here go to the motor assembly. None of that goes to the power. Okay? And each one has a little mark on it. This one says for light. This This one here says for lights, so there's 2 for lights. But see, all you have to do is blue to blue, brown to brown, yellow to yellow, red to red, gray to gray, with the wires that are coming out of the ceiling fan. Okay, you're going to hook all these up. So the ones to the ceiling main power is your white wire, and I'm going to strip this back further on your black wire and the 2 ground wires. That's it. Okay, so remember that we got for this one. That's all we're going to do. But we're going to look up here, and I'm going to try to zoom it in. I've got it on the tripod, so it's going to be easier now. Okay, there happens to be 2 green wires there, but there's only 1 green wire that goes up there, I think. That other one is a jumper wire, I think. And then you see there's a red wire, then there's a black wire and a white wire. Well, the red wire, I'm going to leave with the wire nut up there, and I'm never going to use that. I'm just going to hook up the black wire to the black on that remote control, the white wire to the white on the remote control, the green wire up there to the 2 greens from the remote control, and that's it. That red wire, like I said, it was for a light kit for the old ceiling fan type applications. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn all of these off, and these are single pole light switches, meaning these only go up to there. 2 of those go up to there. This third one, I'm not sure exactly what that does, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this goes to the 2 lights by the bed. Let's just see if I'm right. Okay, I'm going to turn that on there. Okay, and then I'm going to hit this. See there? Look at that. I was right. Okay, and usually if you don't want to control everything right here, just leave that on, and then when we go to bed, we just come over here and we'll just turn it off right there. And that goes down to an electrical outlet down there, and whoever wired this, they wired it so that the light, which is the top of the electrical duplex receptacle, is activated by the light switch, and the bottom is hot at all times. You can do that on electrical outlets. Did you know that? Okay, so we know this one is for by the bed, the 2 lamps by the bed. Okay, and I'm just going to leave those. I'm just going to leave that on, and so I'm guessing this is the main power for the ceiling fan up there. The high, medium, low off on the old applications, and this one is probably goes up there to that red wire only. And so eventually, and so I'm going to go up there and check it out right now, but I'm going to leave these off right now because I want to identify which one is which, just for my own peace of mind, for my own sake. But see, eventually, whatever it is, one of these, the main power, it's just going to be a power switch, we'll call it, for the ceiling fan. We're going to, if it's this one, we're going to leave it on at all times. And then the handheld remote will work all the time. If this ever gets shut off, the handheld remote will not work at all. So you're going to have to turn that back on, and that'll turn the power on up there. And then this one here, this is not going to be anything anymore because the red wire is going to be capped off. Okay, and so this one will never work anymore. Sorry about that, because we've got a ceiling fan that only needs 1 of these from now on. Okay, so I'm going to turn both of those off, and I'm going to get up there and carefully. I'm making the assumption the power's off up here, but I'm still going to be careful when I'm taking the wire nuts off and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's our next step to identify which wire goes where. It's pretty simple. You know, you don't have to be an electrician to figure all this stuff out. You know, play this back and it'll start making sense to you, and you'd be like, is that all? Is that all? I thought it was going to be really tricky. He's making it sound and look so easy. Okay, so that's going to be coming up next. Okay, I got to get up there on that tall ladder, and I'm going to take all the wire nuts off now. Okay? And in fact, I'm not even sure if I'm going to use all these wire nuts just yet, because my light, I might need some yellow wire nuts up here. We'll see. And I'm curious what this what's happening with this green wire. It looks like it's just this wire nut. That's funny. See, they had two little pigtails, two green little pigtails on that. That's the ground wire. And they might have done one of the pigtails because the ground wire is really super short for some reason. I may have to extend that out with a longer pigtail, so at least I've got enough room to wire it up first off. Okay, so right now I'm going to take my wire tester, and there should not be any power up here right now, okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, I think I've got my switches all turned off, okay? And nothing seems to be on here. Okay, I'm not going to shut the camera off. We're going to let it roll. And I'm going to try my hypothesis of turning the first light switch generally that comes into your room is for your main light or ceiling fan that's in your room. And for this case, it should be the ceiling fan. And we're putting a light kit on the ceiling fan. So I'm thinking this orange light's going to go on if I touch the white and the black. Oh, look at that. Nothing's happening. Okay, they might have done the white with the red. And that's what they did, see? The red light, or the orange light is on. Can you see that? Okay, so the main power that's coming in is, or that first switch, is the red wire. And you know, they probably did that because in case they did not install a ceiling fan, they would have installed a light fixture on that red wire. So the first light switch, that when you come into a room, you always want your light or your power to come off, your very first one. Okay? So now I'm turning off that first one and I'm turning on the next one. Okay? And that should be this black and white one. Okay? And it is. You see the orange light go on? I hope you can see that on the video. I might have to hold it like this. Okay, that orange light is on right there. And this red one is off because I have the light switch off. Okay? Now I'm touching the black and white, and that's the second light switch. Now for all purposes, it doesn't really matter to me, okay, which light switch goes on in the room, because I've got the handheld remote. Should it really matter to me which light switch I make the power to the ceiling fan? And see, one of them is going to be a power switch for the ceiling fan. One is going to be off at all times. I can make this power the ceiling fan all the times, this one off all the time, or this one off all the time. And then off all the time, I can just leave it in the up position if I want after I get done hooking everything up, right? I could keep them all up. So does it really matter which goes which up there? I can hook up the white and black. If I hook up the white and black, I know this is the power, and this is going to be the dead one. If I do the white and red, this one is the power, and that's the dead one. Okay? So, you know, you can pick and choose whichever one you want. For the easiest thing, if we want, if we don't want to get confused, if you don't want to get confused and stuff, you can say, okay, let's just hook up the black wire and the white wire. Let's not worry about the red. If we were hooking up the red, obviously we're not hooking the black up there, but this black is the power, and we would connect this black to the red up there. And then we cap the black one off up there, okay? So either way, we can do it, okay? And what I'm gonna do, I always like to have the main power coming into the room hooked up to the ceiling fan, and that way I'll remember. But hey, you do whatever you want, and maybe I should look up there and see how long the black wire is, how long the red wire is. Maybe I'll make a determination that way. And I think they're about the same. Cause see, I'm gonna have to. I've got some other wire, and I can make a pigtail for the ground wire, right? I can make a pigtail for the ground wire because the ground wire is really short, and the red wire is just a little bit longer than the black wire. I've got enough room either way to hook up to the red or black. Okay, so I'll make a decision on that. And for the time being, for the sake of argument, I've got to leave. I'm turning the power off to both light switches up there, and the first thing I'm going to do is mess around with that ground wire. Okay, I got to put a little pigtail on that ground wire. Does that make sense? Because see how short that ground wire is? It's only sticking out a little bit out of that box, and you got to remember, I need enough coming off there because I'm going to have to route it in such a way. I've got this ground wire on this here to hook up, right? When this gets up there, oh, look at this. I've got this wire, okay, here. Once I screw that up, because this comes that way, so now I've got to set that up, and then this knuckle is still going to be part of this. I've got to take it apart, put the longer extension on it, but see, there's a ground. Here's a ground wire right here, kaboom. That's attached to this knuckle. Okay, so I got those two ground wires. Good grief. I've got those two ground wires to hook up, and then you remember on here, I've got two ground wires here. I've got 4 ground wires to connect. We're not even talking about the wire that's up in the ceiling yet. Now do you see why I've got to run a pigtail up there, make that ground wire maybe 5 or 6 inches up there, so that however this gets mounted up there to the ceiling, I've got enough room to wire these all. I'm going to connect all these together, boom, 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 or 2 and 2, and then those 2 up to the wire in the ceiling, or I'll hook all 4 of these together. I'm not going to decide that until I get up there after I route this to see how easy it's going to be to do 4 all together, or 2 and 2, and then those up to the other. Okay, so that ground wire up there has got to be way longer than it is now. I have no idea why they made it that short. See, out of the box, it's only coming out of the box by a little bit. They should have made that way longer. That's why that yellow wire nut was up there with those 2 small little green wires. Well, I'm going to make that wire longer, and it's a good thing I always carry extra wire, for pigtails and stuff. And I've actually got to look at that wire a little bit more closely up there so I can make the determination if it's 12 gauge wire or 14 gauge wire. And 14 gauge wire, because if it's 20 gauge wire up here, and usually I'm pretty good about feeling how stiff the wire is. This should be 12 gauge wire, okay? And so my pigtail on the ground should be a 12 gauge wire. If I had 14 gauge wire for a little ground wire, could I use that for the ground? Yeah, probably. But and I've got some 14 gauge ground wire too. There's some bare copper end pieces, 8-9 inches long. But because I've got the 12 gauge, I'm going to use that, and that should be on a 20 amp circuit. And I looked into the electrical panel, and all of the breakers in the panel are 20 amp breakers, which is kind of cool, because this happens to be a condo, and I don't know if that was a requirement back then or what, but like most houses, most of your electrical receptacle circuits could be 15 amp, and then lots of your lighting circuits are 15 amp, and you'll have some 20 amp electrical circuits like for your GFI electrical outlets, you know, in your kitchen countertops, and maybe for your garbage disposal, microwave, stuff like that. Now, see these? I mean, you call this a pigtail, and I'm probably going to save this one. I never know if I'm going to ever use that. It's already got that end on it. This is so small, it's not good for anything, and there's no way I'm going to try to use this for my pigtail. Okay, first off, it's not long enough, and I'm going to make it longer than that, and then I'm just going to connect the end to end, and then shove that back up in the box, and then let it stick down. And that's called a pigtail. Okay, I'm going to go get my parts, and I'll be right back and show you how it's done. Some people crack me up. They'll say, hey Joe, just get on with it. I just wasted 5 minutes of my life listening to you yak about doing an electrical ground. Get on with it. Well, you know what I have to say about that? Sorry about that, but this is just how I do videos. And if you really think about it, I'm actually giving you lots of information. It's almost like a classroom setting. If you want to think of it kind of like that, think of it as a classroom setting, because you should be learning all kinds of stuff, right? Now see here's my wire. This is 12 gauge wire, and I also had some 14 gauge ground wire. This is a lot thinner, and 14 gauge wire is thinner than 12 gauge. The bigger the wire, the smaller. The bigger the number on the wire, the smaller the size of the wire. I don't know why they do that. Why didn't they just do it the opposite? I don't know. And so I'm gonna keep this little bit. I'm gonna end up throwing this little piece away. But say, how many pigtails do I have enough for later on down the road? I think I might have, you know, 3 is kind of borderline, and 2 is really big, but I don't know if I want to go 3 with this. Let's just see how long this is to see if I can make I don't know, 7 inches. Is that long enough for a pigtail? That's pretty long. I mean, that way I can get 3 pigtails out of this one, and not just 2. And so I think I'm going to do that. Okay, there's my pigtail. It's not that long, but hey, you know, it'll work. It's going to work. I got faith that that's going to be long enough sticking out of that box. Okay. So I've got enough pigtail in there. This little piece I'm going to end up throwing away. And And so that's why I explain stuff the way I do and show you, so that you're learning stuff along the way, man. Come on. And this, you know, I can leave the sheathing on here, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave that, and I'm going to see. You see, I could use an orange wire nut. No, actually, I'm going to use a yellow wire nut up there. I don't like doing two big wires, you know, two 12-gauge wires on an orange wire nut. I'm going to use a yellow. And now I'm just going to get up there. Let's just keep it like that. Okay. Get back up there. This is the first part of our project, right? I'm going to get up there, and I better double check, make sure my light switches are off. They are off. Okay. I don't care anything about the black, white, or red wire just right now. We're only concentrating on the ground. Okay? And so I'm just going to take this, bend it, hold it up there, and stick my wire nut on there. Now I could have done it a different way with some little crimper, ground caps, clips they're called. Twist those two together, put a cap on there. But the wire nut's fine, okay? Wire nut's fine. And I'm just gonna grab it and kind of turn it a little bit more. I mean, not much. It's tight, okay? And I'm gonna kind of bend this a little bit closer to that, like that. See, now I can kind of push that back in there. That's going to be sticking out of the box about there. Now I've got to make a decision. Do I use the red for hookup for the power, or the black? The black looks just a hair shorter, and and the red, remember, was for the first wire nut, light switch coming into the room. I'm going to use the red, okay? And this black one, I'm just going to cut the tip off just a hair, because I got the orange wire nuts, and I'm just going to use an orange wire nut on here. I'm going to cap that off, okay? Now I'm going to shove that up here into the box. Forevermore, this is not going to be used for anything. That's for the second light switch on the wall. And if you want, you can put some black electrical tape up there. You don't necessarily have to. It's just the very last little electrical project I did. I went ahead and put it. I've got my tape handy. I'm just going to wrap that around. All that's going to do is confirm that this wire nut's never going to get loose, never going to come off that, never going to allow a power wire being left open inside a plastic junction box up there. Okay, how much longer did that take for your project? Not very long. Now I'm just going to put that right up here, I think, like so. You know, it doesn't have to be tricky. And so now I've got this is all I got left. I got a white wire, a red wire, and my ground wire. And I really wish the black and red were longer, but they're not. You know, could I put jumpers on there, little pigtails on there, smash those back up, let these stick out further? Yeah, I could. I'm going to do a dry run next though with my black power box, my my mounting bracket, and kind of see what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so that's the next step to my project coming up. I've got to look at this thing here, see how we're going to mount that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my mounting bracket, I call it, and the holes are right here. And so my holes for this are top and bottom. I wish they were sideways, and then I would have put the notch to this knuckle facing up, because it's a ceiling that's angled. But I can, you know, this is still going to work. It's gonna angle it down. I'm still going to get it into the notch, and I'm thinking, because I'm on the ladder and because I'm on this side, I want to lift it up and slide it in that way. So my notch has to face this direction, and that's how that's going to go. Okay, and I'm going to have to mess with these wires after that. Once I put that up there, I'm going to have to see how that fits up there. In fact, maybe I should get that. Maybe I should get that little remote sensor with all those wires on it, kind of hold it up there and kind of play out. Like I was saying, are the red and white wires going to be long enough? I think they're going to be, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. If I got that up there like that, and then if I install that way, like so, that's going to be up in there, and my black and white wires are going to come around the side. And do I have enough room to hook those up? I think I do. Let's see if they go if I put this in the opposite direction, like that. Let's just see here. I go like that. The black and white wires are over here on that side. My ground wire's over here. Here's where my other grounds are. I might do that, like that. And I think that's going to work too. Okay. I think these wires will be hooked up on that side. I'm just going to leave the ground wire alone right there. I may have to reroute the ground wire. We'll have to see. Okay? And so I'm ready to mount that. And the ceiling fan generally does not come with any mounting screws. Believe that. So, like I said, there's only 2 screws that are holding that up. And so I've got to make sure those are nice and tight. Okay, so when I took that old ceiling fan down, I should have kept the screws and figured out where they were going to be. Maybe take those screws, save them, and reinstall it over here. This particular box, I know these screws happen to go up into wood, and a lot of boxes only has a metal thread here where you would run it up through there and use different type of machine screws rather than wood screws. But I'm using wood screws, and I pre-drilled the hole out just a little bit. I'm putting a little bit thicker screw up there, and I'm using my my drywall screws, my coarse threaded drywall screws. And these happen to be, what are they, 2-inch? 2-inch drywall screws, or 2.5s, I think. And I'm pretty sure I've got enough room. Well, I said I'm pretty sure. I'm thinking I have enough. I'm gonna have to kind of hold this up there and see. Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna be all right. I think just barely long enough where this slot is. I think I have just enough room to catch both of these. Yeah, I think I do. Boy, it's quite the reach over this bed. I'm just kind of setting this up there. I don't think I have to start make any other screw holes, which I really don't want to do in this mounting bracket, but we'll soon find out here, won't we? Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think we'll get it right there, right like that. And I've got a ratcheted type drill, handheld, like that. And so it's not me stripping the head off or anything as I put this in. Good grief. I'm going to have to look at this and see how well this looks up here after I get it mounted. I think I'm good. Yeah, this is not going to fall down. Okay, and that's looking good there. I read the directions. There's two little screws on this, and they say to leave one there and to take one out. Well, I'm going to take it out now. I could have done that before. That's going to be to hold the housing up here, the trim. It's kind of slick how they got this, and this one's got to be loosened up, it said, because that trim fits up over this, it slips on, and then I tighten this screw, and then this one I put up through a different hole. This one will have a slot in it. Okay, that is pretty solid, and the knuckle will fit in this way, ka-doink, and then I'll twist it to fit into this, ka-doink, and you just keep watching. It'll come to you how I'm going to do this. Okay, so that's what I've got so far up there for this ceiling fan. And I don't think I'm going to need the drill anymore and stuff. I think I'm going to leave that little screw up here on top of the ladder. And I'm going to be ready for the next step. What is the next step? Well, the next step is I've got to put this extension, that small extension rod, I got to get the knuckle off of it. And then I've got to get the long one and get these wires spread out and put that long extension on. Okay, read your directions. Okay, I'm gonna peruse the direction sheet here, and I'm pretty sure that's the next step. Okay, step by step, we can do this. Okay, remember that little screw I just took out and the other one I loosened up there? Eventually, this is going to go up. Where is it? Here, this is going to be the mounting housing, or the trim cover, ultimately, that fits up there. And to hold on to that, then the screws, the screws I just took out, or one of them, is going to fit there. The other one I loosened up so that this could be lifted up there and swiveled into place. And then I can put that screw up, and then it has a little nib that sticks down. The actual screw head is not flush there. There's a nib, and it allows about 1/4 of an inch. So when this is up there, the screw is sticking down about 1/4 of an inch. And then see, I take this, see right here and right here, I fish that up there over the heads of the screw, and then once I find that, then I twist that, and that's going to hold into place. See, once I get the 2 screws in there right here and here, I just take it and tighten it, and it tightens right on that side deal, and that's how that's going to fit. Okay, here we are. I don't want to get this down too low, okay? You're just going to have to bear with me here. Now on this, and like I say, not all ceiling fans are created equal, okay? This is just how this one is going to be. When this gets installed in there and screwed in, there's 2 little set screws that tighten up on here. So, but I'm not going to use this small one, okay? If you have a flat ceiling, you decided you don't need an extension, you can install this one. Okay, I got to be real careful with this cotter pin. I'm going to set it up over here because I've got to transfer this. Well, I'm not going to transfer it on this long rod just yet, but I got to take this knuckle off, okay? But I don't necessarily have to do that right now. I've got to, my next focus is, say, I'm not going to put the knuckle on here until I fish all these wires up through this, okay? And on this, there's threads. Remember I told you there's threads on here. You see? There's threads, and then that long piece and the cotter pin gets fished through here, and then there's 2 screws down here on the actual housing of the motor that once I get the threads screwed in, then I'll set these, I'll tighten these up right onto the threads of the down rod, okay? In fact, I don't have to take these out as long as they're unscrewed far enough so that it doesn't mess up the threads, okay? So take it out, and I'll go ahead and put this one back in, right over here. I'm just going to get it started. I want to get it back far enough so that the threads don't hit the inside of the threads. You can't just make it flush and feel it with your finger. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Then you still won't be able to get the threads screwed in there because your male threads aren't going to fit into your female threads without these screws out far enough. And where that cotter pin, where this pin fits through here, we're going to have to fish it through this wire harness and out through the other side. Okay? And that'll determine how far we screw this down. I got to just line these holes up to make sure that that pin's going to fit down in there. Okay? And usually on most ceiling fans, they give you enough wire, whatever wires they have coming out of the top of your ceiling fan housing. They usually keep them long, and that's because if you were to put a long extension on, you can, you know, you can put one on as long as 4 feet or so. And if you need one longer than that, if these wires aren't long enough, you'll have to, you can splice other wire on there and make them longer. Okay, and so I need to take a few minutes and get this wire kind of stretched out and kind of bend it into place. Well, maybe I can do it without turning the camera off. See, like I say, most of the time you only have like 3 wires coming out of the ceiling fan. This one it has to do with this one's got 72-inch blades, and it needs 2 wires for the light, and it also needs an additional wire for something else for the motor. Okay, and now I've got to fish this down through and hope. See, I may have to straighten these wires out even further because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them all. We'll just have to see. See, I gotta get all these down through here. I could probably do it. That's why they usually have you take the knuckle off, even a short one. Sometimes it's hard to fish everything up because then you have to fish it up through this knuckle that's got a little rod pin in it and stuff. And so I'll just have to hold my mouth just right. It shouldn't be that difficult, right? To get these wires through there. Okay, here they come. They're coming out. Okay, there they go. Okay. Make sure I don't kink any of the wire or anything. And see, this extension is like a 3-footer. I'll pull the blue wire a little bit more. Like that. This is a 3-foot extension, and had I needed a 4-foot, I've got all kinds of wire coming out of the top of this still. Okay. There. Like that. Okay. And now I've got to screw this on there. I'm going to try to hold the wires straight, keep this from twisting, because I don't want to twist the wires in there. And then you kind of just have to kind of hold it there, and if it feels hard, just kind of back off it a little bit and kind of wiggle this a little bit. Okay. And it's going. Okay. And I'm going to have to get my my phone out. And see how much further. Okay, I still got to go a ways. How much further I need to go. This one happens to move at the top. Because see, I'm not necessarily tightening this all the way up as tight as I can to this. I'm just tightening up as far as where this wants to come out of the side of that pin. That looks about right. It might be able to go one more twist, like there. Okay, right there. And now let's just turn this off. You remember I got two different wire harnesses in there, and maybe I can kind of pull on that and kind of fish that. I may have to come in from this other side. Oh, here we go. There. Look at that. Went right in. And I take the little cotter pin, I call it, and put it on like that. Okay. There. I've got that. This is going straight. And on lots you don't have these other, well, you've got set screws, but you don't necessarily have threads to screw it down into like this one. This one just happened to have that. Okay, so now This is going straight. I don't have to line that up or anything because it's all with the threads. If you had one without the threads, this would be wiggling a little bit. Then you have to cut, then after you get your cotter pin and your pin in there, your main pin, your cotter pin, you have to kind of hold this, eyeball it straight as you're tightening up these other two to keep this straight. And then you may have to adjust that after you get the whole thing together and the ceiling fan up there, because if it starts wobbling, it might be because this is not perfectly flat or perfectly at a 90-degree angle, this rod to your motor. You know what I mean? And so once I tighten this, I'm just gonna tighten a little on each screw at the same at a time. Okay, and all this screw is doing is pushing on those threads to keep the threads from unscrewing. Now granted, the threads are only going to unscrew a little bit because I've got this pin in here, right? That pin's going to keep that from unscrewing. Now years ago they didn't used to have this pin, and they would just have screws. And when I first started doing residential years ago, the electrician, he installed a ceiling fan and he forgot to tighten. He had the threads, he put all the threads in, and then it didn't have this pin, the extra hole. It was just 3 screws. He forgot to tighten the screws up. And once the ceiling fan got installed, the ceiling fan, as it turned on, it unscrewed right off of the long extension pole they had. And once it unscrewed, then the wires, it ripped the wire nuts off, and the whole thing came crashing down. There was a baby in a baby crib like 3 feet away, and luckily, you know, it was in a brand new, well, we were remodeling the house, and luckily it missed and hit the floor, and they had to get a new ceiling fan and everything. But like I say, that was before they even had this extra pin. Okay, and now there's some nuts. There's some nuts here that keep those supposedly keep the screw from loosening. And so I'm just gonna tighten that a little bit with my crescent wrench. And you want to not tighten it up too much. You just say, I'm gonna really crank on it. Yeah, you do that, and you could twist the screw right off and break it off. I've done it before. You know, years ago, I learned my lesson. Don't do that. Just make them snug. Okay, there. How do you like that so far? Are we ready? Are we ready to put this knuckle back on? This knuckle on the top? No, we're not. We're not ready for that. I'll tell you the next step. You read the directions, you'll know what the next step is. And it cracks me up. Some people don't read directions, and they think, I'll put 50 of these up. I don't need any directions. I know what's next. Well, it's not installing that knuckle yet, okay? It's just not. And you know, if you were to install the knuckle next, you could just take it off. There's a certain sequence, and I'll show you that next. Okay, we've got to get our little pieces of trim installed. Remember, we've got our trim piece that fits down in there, so that cap that fits next. I've got to put that on. And like I say, if you put the knuckle on, you'll remember after you get ready to install it, you put everything up to it, and then you look and you think, my word, I should have read the directions. I've got everything tight down there and everything that fits on there like that. And then I've got to decide, do I put this next? No, then I got to put this little thing down. And in the directions, it'll tell you the sequence, you know. Okay. That's why we needed to make sure that knuckle was off. I'm calling this black thing the knuckle. Okay, I'll show you how to put that back on. Okay, that's going to go down there, and then our trim. This is the top trim at the ceiling. Okay, you see, remember, and we're going to put that knuckle on. Okay, so then when we install it up there, we're going to fish the knuckle on that black deal up there. We're going to hook up all the electrical and stuff. Then we've got to shove this, slide this up here like that. That's going to cover that black box we have up there. And then we're going to take this little thing, find those two little screws gently, twist it on there, let go, and voila. We'll have it all up there. And then all we'll have to do is worry about the fan blades and all that kind of stuff and the light kit and that, okay? So now, are we ready to put that knuckle on there? Yeah, we are. Isn't that funny? It's not even Christmas, but Momi likes a Christmas tree in the bedroom. And we turn that on every once in a while. It's kind of soothing, actually. I don't mind. Keeps her happy. Okay, so now this knuckle is held by this bracket here and one set screw. Can you believe that? I hate that. I wish they would install this knuckle with more than one screw. And this screw is going through threads that are on this heavy black plastic knuckle, and then it just pushes against this metal rod, and that's it. And that's the only thing that holds this. I wish they would have a threaded hole drilled through there with threads so that you could tighten this all the way up and then have another one of these on the other side, or even 3 of them total. Because lots of times this gets loose down the road. So see, we're just going to lift this up a little bit, and this pin comes out like that, and this slides out. You see, there's a definite place where this fits in a slot right here, but you have to put it in like that. Then this has to be slid up a certain direction to fit up on the notch. This has to be put in so it fits flush up there. You don't want this sticking out one way or the other, because if it's sticking over too far, let's say, it could still fit in there like that. But see, I'm pushing on it, and it's not up there flush. You don't want that, and that's because this pin has to be slid over further. Okay, like that. Not too far. About like that. See, there's a definite place. And so if you were doing all this with this same down rod, then I would try to find where this screw had hit on here before. And sometimes you can see a little mark, an indentation. There it is, right? It's hard to see it, but there's a slight indentation where this was screwed on from before. Okay, but that's all it is. This one little screw just pushes in between this metal and up against this, and that keeps that tight from loosening up. But after a few years, if this screw loosens up, then this is floppy. See? And just that little bit on there, even though this pin is in here and it's all on there straight and it's up in there where it's supposed to be, this can be sloppy. That little bit can cause your whole ceiling fan to be wobbling all over the place. Okay, so you need to remember that. Okay, so now we're going to take that off. Take that off. Okay, so now I don't need this, do I? Okay, I'm going to save it. Oh, I don't know what I'll ever do with it, but okay, so that's going to fit on there. And They say to cut this off about 9 inches, 9 to 10 inches above the knuckle. I'm not going to cut anything off just yet. I'm going to put this down there. And I like to cut them long, first off. Okay. Now, I'm just going to slide that down. Now I've got to fish this through there, through the wires. And, oh, hey, you know what? This might have, I don't know. They might have done us a good deed here. I'm going to see. I'm going to see right now if they did or not. Let's just see. There's 3 holes up here. And there's threads in the rod. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? There are three holes in this one. I've never ever seen that. Installing ceiling fans for years. I don't know how many years I've installed ceiling fans. And maybe they've done that on the extension rods nowadays. But see, on the small one, there's no extra holes. And look, I'm gonna get you a little closer here. I'm gonna get you closer here. Let's see where those are. See, right there. Look, there's one there. It's got some threads in it. And oh, I thought there was 3 holes. Let's just see here. See, here's the big one that goes through. There's one right there that's got threads in it, and there's one right there that has threads in it. Absolutely wonderful, because like I say, I have never seen that. And they've got 2 there, and I think it's because we slide that on there. This is only going to fit one way for this to stick through there, okay? And so I may have to slide it in a different direction, but we'll soon find out. And you know what? They might not even line up. So I better not say too much until I get this lined up. And look at that. They do not. I don't think they're going to line up for these screws in here. That's a shame. I wonder why they did that. I'm gonna try flipping this all the way around, because there's a couple of different ways this can go. It can go all the way around the other direction there, and there's no screw there. Now maybe I can keep turning it. We'll see here. We'll see here. Maybe it'll fit right here. No, it won't. Oh, that's a shame. Those two screws are for a different application. That's a shame. That is one shame. How else could I get that? They're not. It's not lining up anyway. Yeah. I was seeing if there was any way I could cut something out, but I don't really want to mess with this knuckle. I'm gonna make sure. Boy, that's just too bad. That's just too bad. Nope, not gonna work. So I'm just gonna have to put this in right there. Okay. I could almost drill a hole in there, smaller, and then put something in there but then I would have to get a self-tapping drill bit and all that junk to do that. And see, it's not really designed for that. That's all it's going to be, is like that. And see, you can only tighten it so far. Oh, that's a crying shame that they did not have that lined up for that. It might be for a different ceiling fan application. Some ceiling fan brands could have this notched out a slightly different way. Too bad. That is just one shame. I thought, am I overlooking something? Don't think I am. I've tried it. I've tried it every way here. The only thing I could do, I'd have to line this up a different way and drill holes out with a drill bit to re-slide this in at a different angle, you know, to then line it up through this hole. See, if I had that right there, then I'd have to re-drill this out. I don't know if I should do that or not. I'm wondering. It would certainly help keep this from ever getting loose, because I'm really liking the fact that there's a set screw there, a hole that goes all the way through. See, then I could put that in there all the way, like that, and that would not ever come out. If I did that, I would have to put this in at a different angle, straight through there. I see. Right. I think I'm gonna make the modification. What do you think? Should I? See, I'll take it out, find a drill bit the same size, and drill that. I've had to extend or cut off extensions, because if you wanted to cut an extension off, let's say, you could, and then you have to drill the holes in there. You'd have to drill the holes that I'm planning on drilling for this. I drill those 2 holes. I might think about this here for a second. I may have to flip it around and use the other set screw so that when I drill the holes, they're not as close to these 2 holes here, okay, for my holding power and stuff. I'll think about this a little bit and show you what I do. Okay, well, I made the determination that I'm going to drill 2 holes in here, and I was toying with the idea of holding this off to the side and drilling a hole through there and not hitting these wires. I could probably do that, but I'm thinking maybe my best bet would be to take this down rod off, pull it back out, and drill this with no wires in here. I'd hate to even nick one of those wires, you know what I mean, with the drill bit as it's going through there. Okay. Yeah, I just really don't think I want to take the chance. So I've got to decide what to do. And once I start drilling, I'm going to have to drill a smaller hole and then a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. you know, on both sides, get it all done, because I really like the idea of having the knuckle actually go through the set screw that's on the side of this, because that ceiling fan is going to be heavy. If it ever starts wobbling, it's not going to wobble for, you know, a couple years, 2-3 years. But after that, if it wobbles, then I'm going to have to get up here. I'm going to have to get up there and loosen the trim at the top, finagle with that, and then reach in there and tighten up that knuckle. It's not something that I've never done before. I could do it, but then I've got to take some of the ceiling fan blades off, and my ladder hopefully won't hit anything. I don't think it would. I think it would be lower. Anyways, it'd probably be fine. Squeeze up through the ceiling fan, take one blade down, and do it. There's always different ways to do it, but I'm thinking, since I haven't installed it yet, why not drill those holes out? And that's what I'm gonna do. You know, if I had somebody helping me, I guess they could hold these out of the way, but it's easier for me to drill straight down instead of kind of sideways onto here. And so that's another reason why I'm going to take that off. And then I've got a little block of wood I can set down on the ground, hold it there, and drill down into it instead of straight that way. Okay, that's why I'm going to take it off. Okay, I got her. See, that's the new hole I drilled. This was the existing one, and there's the other hole I drilled right there on both sides. See, initially, when I lined it up another way, I would have drilled a hole right there, and it would have been real close to that one. I didn't really want to do that on both sides. And so I lined it up the other direction, and I did that. I took it, set it on the ground, and started out with smaller drill bits, then went up, and I did that. And I forgot to tell you, after I do these set screws down here with the Phillips screwdriver, there's a slot in it for the standard. And I took a big standard and just gave it one more oomph before I tightened up the nuts. Okay? I haven't tried it yet, and it should go on there now with the set screw. Oh, I've got to put all my trims on again. I should have done that first, but I wanted to show you that. There goes that. And then this piece went on. And this went on. For the knuckle. And let's see here. Facing, I was going to put the knuckle on. Oh, no. I was almost going to put the knuckle on backwards there for a second. Okay. Like that. Slide that down. And these were the holes. Okay, so I can fish the wires through there. Let's see, I guess I can just do it right there, like that. Let's see where my set screw is. Over on this side, lift it up, look at that. This set screw is now going to go through right into the, I'll show it here. There it goes. It's going right into the riser, the extension pipe. I'm liking that. Guess I don't want to tighten that up too much before I break that screw off, huh? Okay, I think that's good. I'm not going to go, I don't think I'm going to go any further. Let's just see, there's a bigger slot for the standard screwdriver, and I just gave it just a hair twist. Now that set screw is going not only through the plastic knuckle, it's going through the threaded rod. That was the extension, and lots of extensions. This is the first one I've ever seen that. Lots of extensions don't have that other hole there, and so you're just taking that screw from the knuckle and tightening it on the outside of this rod. Do you see what I'm saying? And then there's only so tight you can do it because there's only one set screw, and you don't want to crank it too much because that set screw isn't that big, and you could twist the shaft of the screw right off and break it right off. You see what I mean? And that is the only thing that keeps this knuckle onto this pipe, this extension rod. Okay? And so, like I say, if that ever loosens up a year down the road, 2 years down the road, then it could cause your ceiling fan, it will ultimately cause your ceiling fan to wobble. There's 4 or 5 different things that cause your ceiling fan to wobble. That's just one of them. But I'm pretty sure that it's not going to loosen up off of that rod now because that screw is going right into the rod. Okay, that's why I spent the extra effort to do that since those screws were there, or that little threaded rod was there for that set screw. Okay, so now for the next step. What is the next step anyways? We're just about ready to lift this up and put it up there, but I'm gonna decide to cut some of that wire off first. Now in the directions it says to hold this up 9 inches or so to a foot, and that's probably about there what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to cut this section off. I don't need all that wire up there. In fact, once I get this up, I may even cut this a little bit shorter. The last thing I want to do is cut that too short and then find out later on I should have had it just a hair longer for some reason or the other. Okay, and I'm not going to throw this wire away. I'm going to wrap it up, put it in my bag of goodies, my extra things, and if I ever need to extend, let's say I come across a ceiling fan that somebody really wants extended, and the ceiling fan was already installed up on the ceiling and they wanted a down rod a little bit longer, chances are their wire is going to be short, and then I could use this wire here, and then they have little couplings, crimp on couplings, connectors that you can get at the store and crimp on there. I helped one guy do that in Maui, and I think that might even be on my channel, as a matter of fact, under Ceiling Fans Galore. You can go to my main channel page, click on playlist, scroll down to Ceiling Fans Galore or All About Ceiling Fans, and you can find that one with Mr. Markey, and I helped him install one in Maui. Take a look for more information. Okay, so now I can simply lift that up. That's the next step. I've got to get up this ladder and slip it up in that notch up there. And I'm gonna leave you be right over here. I think I've got enough light here. It's getting kind of in the afternoon, but you'll be able to see it. Remember, the notch is on the left-hand side, so I lift that up and kind of set it in there. It's pretty much I'm doing the same thing I would if this extension rod was only 6 inches long. Now I'm going to set this right up there. Get my wires. Come on. Come on. There you go. Okay. And I'm going to set it down here. Now I have to twist that. There's little notches in here. I've got to twist it until it fits in that little groove. And there it was. See right there. Boom. Now I know it's in the right place. If I put it in like that, if that wasn't in there, that could start wobbling the ceiling fan from the beginning, see? Boom, right there. And you don't have to twist it very far because there's 4 notches on this knuckle, and any one of those notches will fit in that little groove on the side. There, that's it for that, other than wiring this up, see? So now it's all about getting the wires out of the way. I've got to slip that thing in there, and then all these wires got to kind of wrap around and fit up in there. That's gonna be kind of tricky in itself. Okay, getting all those wires hooked up, and I don't know if I got to cut them a little shorter or what, but see, there, I've got it hooked up to there. Okay, you can do this, you know. You remember what I'm going to do? That little thing, black to black, white to white, or black to black. The black to the red. Remember, I capped off the main black wire up there because we're not using that. We're only using the main power wire of that red wire. See, that red wire came in the same cable as the black, white, and green wire. Usually you get Romex cabling, and this is and it's called 12-2 with ground of the Romex cabling. 12-2 meaning 12 gauge, 2 wires, a black wire and a white wire, 12 gauge inside there with ground. So you go to the store, 12-2 with ground. But if you want to have an additional circuit or additional light switch or additional power wire, you would use a red wire that's inside the cabling, and that's called a 12-3, meaning 3 wires in there, a black, red, and white with ground. So the cabling they have up there that goes from the ceiling fan on down to the light switch location, the power switch location right there, is called a 12-3 with ground wire. Do you see what I mean? So that's where that red wire came from, and that's the wire we're gonna hook up. Okay, so now now we gotta slip that back up in there. This whole thing, this whole kit and caboodle is gonna have to fit up there, and I'm probably gonna have to strip the wires back further than what they are and all that kind of stuff. I should actually strip the wires down here, well, I might for this. I think I'm going to. I'm going to strip these wires back a little bit because there's only about 1/4 inch of stranded wire showing on these, and I like to have it a little bit more than that. Plus the ground wires, I've got to connect all those up. But remember, this is going to go in up here, and it slips. See, it's going to slip right up in here, and there's a little antenna wire on this. Good grief! I'm going to have to rearrange the wires or push these wires up out of the way. This thing's got to fit up in there, and it should. That's how all the other ones are. I might have to, come on. Okay, there. Wow. That's a tough little fit, but see, it slid in there. And that's where that kind of lives, like right up in there, see? And then all of these wires, you have to get hooked up, and then they get kind of pushed up in and around here and out of the way and stuff for this trim. See, this trim has to fit up and around there afterwards. I'm gonna look at this and decide. I think I'm gonna take this down, and I'm gonna strip all these wires down here, and then I'm gonna strip. Well, look at this. Make a determination if I have to cut these wires a little bit shorter. In fact, I should have done that while I had that up there. Man, that's a tight fit. Too bad those wires didn't go in a different direction, but that's okay. It'll work. So I look at these wires, the ones that I cut rough. See, and where these are, we'll wrap around like that. I can do something right in here, and then kind of, I gotta have enough room to kind of push some of that wire up in there. Maybe I'll leave them the same length as they are, because I think I can kind of push them up in there, up in that hole or something. And I think I'm going to leave that length for now. I'm going to just strip these down here. I'm working up over a bed, and the less stripping of wires, the better. And see this here. Once I strip these wires back, see, there's not very much that they have sticking out. Okay, that's not very far. I'm going to make it a little bit further so that when I connect them, I'll get a nicer little connection. I'll just strip off maybe another 1/16 to an eighth of an inch, probably, all of those. And then the ground wires, I think I might, there's 2 of these that are ground wires. See, they stripped those and they leave the ends. And you see, they're kind of short too, because remember, I have to connect 4 stranded wires like this together before I connect it up to that main ground wire up in the ceiling. Now you know why we put that pigtail and that ground wire way up there. Okay, so we had enough room to connect all these wires. Okay, I'm getting ready to put this back up. I've got all these wires stripped, and usually when I strip it, then I twist it all together. Am I ready to install this now? No. You remember, we have to set a new code. And I installed one of these ceiling fans once upon a time, and I forgot to change the code, dabbity nabbit. So after I got everything installed and got all the wires up there and everything, I had to take the whole thing down because I forgot to reset the code. So I've got to look at the directions. I got to reset this as well as the handheld remote. Then I can hook everything up as I told you before. Okay, I'm ready to wire this. I'm not going to show you that up there, but I am going to show you. Remember, there's only one black and one white wire here, and on the black it says AC in or AC in L, which is the load. This one, the white wire, says AC in, which is the neutral. So the black goes to black up in the ceiling. Actually, the black here is going to the red up in the ceiling because the red is the power up there, remember? And then the white goes to white. The 2 ground wires, I'm going to connect the other 2 ground wires, and then all 5 of these, it has what they're on there, but I've got these 5 wires, and the 5 wires that were in the ceiling fan extension pole coming from the motor are all color coordinated. So brown to brown, blue to blue, red to red, you know, all that. Don't put this red one here that's coming, that needs to go to the motor, to the power. You're going to use the black wire. Okay, so if you got a black up there in your ceiling, black to black, white to white. Okay, and the ground's to ground. Right? Okay, and we're just not using the black wire up there. We're using the red power wire up there as previously explained. If you didn't see that part of the video, go back and watch that, and I explain all those wires at the beginning of the project. Okay, this is the little antenna, and it just needs to be pushed up in there. And I guess this has a 2 ground wires, because one of the grounds, see, is attached to this metal backing plate, and then one of the ground wires is just the ground that's inside of this black plastic. Some of these don't have a metal on the back, and so they don't have that extra ground wire. Okay, well, there's 2 ground wires that happen to be on this little module. You got to have that module, and that module is for the handheld remote for this whole ceiling fan. Are all ceiling fans created equal? No. I put a ceiling fan in downstairs. It was a different brand. This happens to be Fanimation brand. The other one was oh, I forget what it was now. Anyways, it's a popular brand, and it was at Lowe's. And that one, all I had to do was hook up a black wire and a white wire that was coming from the ceiling fan to the power up there, and it bypassed this whole box, and everything was up inside the ceiling fan housing. But the ceiling fan housing was way different than this one. It was a big, huge thing that went up to the ceiling, and I've got that on my channel too. This just happens to be a different brand. Okay, so sometimes you have to install this remote. And incidentally, if you have a standard ceiling fan, an old ceiling fan, but you want to make it remote, you can. Did you know that? You can buy something like this that comes with a handheld remote, and then you can take your ceiling fan apart, your housing up at the ceiling, slip this in there, hook it all up how it says, hook it to your handheld remote, and voila. They're about, oh, I don't know, 50 bucks or so at the store. They have different types. They have one that you can install in place of your wall switch, and then you can have all your controls there, but then it doesn't have the handheld remote. So they have different things at the store. Okay, so I'm going to hook all of that stuff up and get ready to install the housing trim up at the top. Okay, so I'll get all these wires up there and push all that stuff back up in there and get set to go. You can do it. Now, one last thing, with most ceiling fans, they'll give you the wire nuts. Now see how many wire nuts they gave us? Look at that. And usually they'll give you the orange ones. And because all these are stranded wires and stuff, but the wire that goes, the white wire that goes to the power, and the black wire that goes to the red power up there, I might use yellow wire nuts for that. I don't know just yet. At least for the grounds, because I'm going to have 4 grounds. Remember, I got 2 here and two up there. 1 on the rod of the extension, and 1 with the black mounting bracket up at the top. So because I've got 4 stranded green wires, ground wires, and then 1 heavy solid ground wire up there, I'll use a yellow wire nut on that. So pick and choose what you need. And you know, they didn't come with any yellows, so that's another reason why I carry that red thing around. I've got all kinds of stuff in there for anything I happen to need. I got some yellow wire nuts, and then the orange ones that I don't use, of course, I'll put in my little red satchel for next time. I got it. I got all the wires up in there and got them kind of tucked up in there. And even those little stranded wires, a stranded wire to a stranded wire, I would kind of connect those two, you know, twizzle them together before I put the wire nut on. Okay. And now I'm hoping that this trim is just going to go up. And I've got the little screw for it still. Remember, this one fits up over that. And there's a bigger slot for the screw. And I've got it loose. I don't know if I've got it loose all the way. I think, okay, there. See there? Got that. And now I've got to slide it over to where I can hit this screw here. And that's just a hair too tight. I can loosen that up. The screw over here. I may have to get my my phone. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get my phone, and so I can see up here. It's getting kind of dark, and that way I can slide that over and fish it up into that back hole. Okay, that's your next step. And on these screws, remember I told you there's a we'll get you back down here. See, this is the screw. So I'm only tightening it up to there, okay? So this last little bit sticks down all by itself, even though this is tight up there. That way, when I slide that next piece up there, it'll fit up over this screw. Even though everything else is tight, I won't have to tighten anything, will I? Just set it up there, and then find the big hole on both sides, and then twist it, and then that little trim cap will hold up on the bottom. Okay, on the bottom of there. See, that trim cap will cover all that. So see, that's not straight yet. It's got to be slid over, and then that knuckle will be centered in the hole. And so I'll fish this screw up in there, tighten her down, and show you what I do next. Wow, that was tricky in itself to make sure that no wires were hanging around on the knuckle or anything like that. And I've got it. Okay, now see this fits up in there, and I gotta see where those holes are. About there. Okay, right there. And then push up and kind of twist on it. Ooh, it's not going. I might have those screws. I might have to loosen the screw ever so little. Just a hair. I'm just going to loosen it up just slightly is all, to give me just a little more clearance here. Okay, where was that hole? Right about there. There. Okay, push up. Okay, there it went. And I twisted it. I think it's supposed to go just a hair further, but I got it. It's on. There, see? Look at that. Fit. Okay. Wow. That's the hardest, one of the hardest parts of the project, to get all that on there. And that extension on there. I'm liking the height, the overall height of this. Momi came in here earlier and I said, how do you like the height of the ceiling fan away from the ceiling? She was hoping it was maybe just a hair higher, but a 2-foot extension would have put those blades up, I think, too close to the ceiling because it's coming down at an angle. These blades are still pretty long coming out here. So where the end of the blade is if I would have gotten a 2-foot extension, it might have been too close to the ceiling, or it might not have looked right. It could have probably been, 4 or 5 inches from the ceiling, but then it would have looked like, hey, how come it's so close to the ceiling? You should have extended it down. So, you can't win from losing. Had they have had a 30-inch extension rod, I would have gotten that, but I did the hypothesis and everything, and I'm up there pretty high off of the floor. They say to have a ceiling fan between 7 and 9 feet from the floor. And this one here is probably over 8 feet. Checking it out right now. And see, it's 8 foot, 4 inches or so to the blades. And that's pretty good. I don't think I want it much higher than that. When I put it all together, worst case scenario, I say worst case scenario. If you think it's too low, well, hey, you could go back to the store, take that one back, get a 2-foot extension, but all the work that you've put in, you've got to take it all back out and redo it all over again. Even taking the blades off, you can't just lift this down with the blades on there. It's too heavy, awkward, bulky, and then you've got to set it somewhere and all that kind of stuff, okay? So do your measurements, ask some questions at the store. I measured from the floor up to the ceiling before I got to the store. Then I could make up my mind as to which extension to get, okay? So now I've got to read the directions. It might be time for the blades or the light next. Don't just start putting it together. Read your directions and figure it out. You can do it. I know you can. Oh man, the sun's going down outside. I still got a little bit of light. I'm putting fan blades together. I have to put an end piece on the end of the fan blade, and then I've got to attach each individual fan to here. That's all right. I can do it, and that's my next step. And then, like I say, it's pretty self-explanatory from here. If you want a light kit, you install it on the bottom. If you don't want the light kit, did you know they even have a cover that that's not part of the. If you don't want the light kit, there's certain ones you put on, and then this would be the end of it. See, but we're going to put the light kit and stuff, and that's usually the best way to do it. If you got the wires and stuff, why not? Because it doesn't take you any extra wiring. All you need is the power black and white up there in the ceiling and the ground. Like I was showing you, hook everything back up. And some ceiling fans don't give you a choice. If there's a light on there, like the last one I put on, if I didn't want the light, there's no way to put a cap on there because it didn't come with a cap. But again, if you don't use the light, you just don't turn it on. Put the light up there. Or if you really want a cap with no light, when you look on the boxes, on the outside of the box, it usually will say blank kit for light or light. And if it doesn't say blank for non-light kit, then obviously it tells you they don't have one. So look on the outside of all your ceiling fan boxes and look and make sure that it comes with the handheld remote. Most ceiling fans nowadays do. It's a good thing. Look at that monstrosity. And usually for the screws, they usually give you an extra screw or two. This screw was for all those little brackets that went on the individual fan blades at the end, and then these were the actual mounting screws for each individual ceiling fan blade up there. And save these. Don't throw these away, because every once in a while, years down the road, you might get a ceiling fan blade that gets loose. Maybe a screw comes missing or something, and you've got some extra screws. I'm going to put that in the plastic bag where I have the manual, because I'm going to save that too. Don't forget. Now it's all about putting this together here. And it's easy, just follow the directions. I'm not even going to show you how to do that. I think you can do that on your own. I'm thinking that anyways. Here's one thing I forgot to mention. I usually put all the screws in with my Phillips screwdriver, and I don't have a Phillips screwdriver any bigger than this tip. And the next size screwdriver up, I could have gotten them tighter, but what I normally do is most of the time Phillips, the screws on there will have a slot for the Phillips, you know, both directions, and then it will have one slot going all the way across for a standard. So what I do is I put it in as far as I can with that, then I get a standard screwdriver. And I used to, where'd my yellow handle one go? Oh, here it is. I used to put everything in with this one here, but I had this one in my toolbox, and I thought I'll just put that in my nail bag because see, the tip is actually wider than this one. See, this one's a little bit bigger than that. And son of a gun, I've used this quite a few times lately because I used to use this one to tighten up screws for ceiling fans. You got to get it on there exactly right, and sometimes you think, man, I wish I had a little bit bigger screwdriver. And so I take this screwdriver and cinch up all the Phillips screws when I get done. You'd be surprised that you can get it one more little eighth of a turn or quarter turn or whatever. Okay, so I'm in the process of putting that light kit up. It's, you know, one little step after another. Just follow the directions. You can do it. Okay, I have not tried it yet. I've got the light kit installed and everything. Momi is chomping at the bit. She wants to take me to dinner. She wants to see how this thing works and all that kind of good stuff. So now I got to turn the power on. And I told you which one it was. I just turned it on. So we're going to try to turn the light on first. Look at that. A thing of beauty. And I'm going to hit the, see, remember last time I hit the middle for the ceiling fan, but you just have to hit one of the arrows. There. And that's on, I'm not sure if that's low speed or not. I'm going to have to look at the directions. Every handheld remote's slightly different, so you have to kind of look at it and get acquainted to it. Oh, that's nice. Even on low, that's nice. I got Mommy smiling and whistling Dixie over here in the corner. She doesn't like to get on camera for some reason. She used to. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to turn it on a little faster and see that kind of shines on there. And like I say, I'll have to read the directions. This might have a timer on it. It might not have a timer on it. Some do, some don't. Oh, this one does. 1 hour, 3 hours, 5 hours. 1 hour, 3 hours, 6 hours. And it's got all kinds of goody things on here. Now that's just on medium. And I'm not going to turn it any faster right now. And it came with the little hand, well, this little plastic thing. Usually there's a dish and you just kind of set this in there. But this one is slightly different, and I can install it wherever I want on the wall. And then I can put this on here like that and just clip it in there, see? And then to take it, you just lift on the top, push down a little bit. There's your handheld remote. And normally I'll put that by the light switch, but over here, I'm not going to put it on the light switch over there. I could put it here next to the bathroom, but Mommy and I were talking, and next to her lamp over here, I think I'm going to put it over here. Okay, so you can put this wherever you want, and then that will live right like that. And she can set this wherever she wants, and then put it up there as a staging. And it cracks me up too. They give you 2 little dinky screws, and they're not even the right type of screws to screw into sheetrock or anything. And so I'm going to have to get some plastic anchors so that I could use that, some very tiny little plastic anchors. So I'm not going to put that on just yet. And wow, this room is already cooling down. What do you think about that ceiling fan? Isn't that nice? And the light is dimmable. I can set it on there. Sometimes you can press and just hold it. See how it's getting dimmer, or you can just keep pressing it. And that's an LED light too. And you see? Now, you see these blades? These blades on this side are maybe, oh geez, I don't know, a foot from the ceiling on that side. And that's why I did the, let's get this turned off. Okay, and I'm going to turn the light on a little bit brighter. And see if that light ever burns out. You can buy another one of those round kit things, and you'll have to get it from the manufacturer and stuff, and they'll send it to you and all that kind of good stuff. But let's just for kicks, I'm going to measure from the ceiling fan blade up to the ceiling right here. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we're close to 2 feet. We're close to 2 feet right there, just a hair over 2 feet. And had I've gotten a 2-foot extension, I'd be 1 foot from the ceiling. And just standing back, it would have made the ceiling fan look like it's up too tight to the ceiling. Now it's down a little bit lower, and I'm liking that. I think I did good with that 3-foot extension. Okay, well there you go. One more project complete. Well, that's all I got for this time, and I'm sure glad I got it done in time so that you could see all of it. Okay, but hey, I'll see you next time on the next video. I hope you show up, and I don't know what I'm gonna do next time, but I'll figure out something.